President Trump posted photos of Democratic leaders on Truth Social last week with the caption, "Party of Hate, Evil, and Satan," to which Chuck Schumer responded, "Don't forget bipartisanship."
Wow, another failed effort at lame brain comedy, and it's just Democrat Party bootlick sucking up propaganda from which filthy, corrupt network was that? NBC. They should hire Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah, and if you have bipartisan. Now, once again, Schumer, the Lizard King, blocked the reopening of the government in the name of bipartisanship because he's shaking down the country. He's got an extortion racket going. Just needs another $1.5 trillion because, Obamacare was so great that every now and then we're going to need another $1.5 trillion to bail out the communist propaganda, phony mailbag thing. If I'm reading mailbag on my the phony healthcare thing. They're really something, those Democrats. So the Republicans have voted 5 times to reopen the government, and the Democrats have voted 5 times to obstruct the reopening of the government, and the Republicans don't know how to message anything. So they really need to hire me and pay me millions of dollars to tell them how to put this. I do it for free right here. They could just steal my stuff, and that'd be okay. I'd be all right with that. But, we're hoping for another vote in the Senate today to reopen the government because are Democrats obstructing traffic in Washington? Michael suspects maybe the Democrats are obstructing traffic in Washington because the traffic flow has been so nice while the government is closed down that everybody's been commenting on it. It's like, hey, nice to not have traffic again, isn't it? This government shutdown isn't so bad after all. So we're thinking maybe the Democrats are laying down in traffic as they like to do, mentally ill people that they are. They've got a lot of mental illness going on. Gender dysphoria. They love a closed government as long as they can blame somebody else for it, which is easy to do in a world where you've got, frou-frou? That was Jimmy Fallon. Oh, that was Seth Meyers. No wonder even I didn't recognize his voice. Say he's got a TV show, huh? And they pay him millions of dollars. Pay him millions of dollars to do Democrat party propaganda because, the Democrats are all about bipartisanship and shooting their enemies. That's the two things, Donald Trump twice and Charlie Kirk and Steve Scalise and police officers. That's all in the name of bipartisanship, the Democrat Party. But the networks who get the license from the FCC, the federal government, Federal Communications Commission, to broadcast through the airwaves in America. And it's all Democrat Party propaganda masquerading as entertainment and even comedy. That's really cross-dressing there because there is nothing comedic about any of it. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. It is just something to write home about. Hey, we've got a lot, as usual, a lot going on today. With the government shutdown, there are many things to talk about there because the Democrats, again, they've got a gun to the baby's head. They've pulled the hammer back, and they're threatening everybody with everything. If they don't get what they want, and what they want is another $1.5 trillion to bail out Obamacare again, because, as the Washington Post said, the Affordable Care Act was never actually affordable. The Affordable Care Act was never actually affordable. And here we are, 15 years later, bailing it out with another $1.5 trillion because the criminals, led by the Lizard King, the Democrats, they're shaking us down. And then the fake news media, and then their entertainment media allies. What's the difference, really, between George Stephanopoulos and, who was it again? Seth Meyers. If he walked through the door right now, I'd say, who's that? And what's he doing walking through our door? I got to tell you. So we've got a lot to talk about. The 6th vote today, we're hoping, to reopen the government. The Democrats will all vote against it, and then the media will come out and say it's Republicans' fault. See, the Democrats are being bipartisan, and that's a big lie because they lie all the time. It's what they do. They're the left. So we've got that going on today. Also, the former FBI director and crook, Democrat Party crook, James Comey. He has his arraignment today in court at 10 a.m. Eastern Time in Alexandria, Virginia, not very far from where we are right now, just across the mighty Potomac River, at a courthouse there. And I've got some updates, and I will continue to have updates for you on that. since James Comey is due in court. They're saying there will be no perp walk, though. No perp walk for Comey, only for Republicans. Perp walks for Republicans and bouquets of flowers, and they throw rice. You could throw a bag of flour if you want, but it might hit somebody in the head, so don't do that. So James Comey in court today for his arraignment, and we're going to keep our ear to the ground on that. We're going to keep our eyes peeled. We're going to keep our fingertips at the ready. We're going to do all kinds of things. Also, I believe today is an important anniversary. Do you know what today's important anniversary is? Honestly, it's October 8th, and it's 2025. Am I right about that? 2025 A.D., Anno Domini, the year of our Lord. The Democrats reject that whole year of our Lord thing because, they're baby killers and all that stuff. But there are only 5 years left. Here's the anniversary. 5 years left. You may remember when it was declared as the United Nations, and we got Greta Thunberg, speaking of which she's in the news today, too. Speaking of the apocalyptic doom. Oh, and Katie Porter, speaking of apocalyptic doom, because the Democrat Party is nothing without their apocalyptic doom. They're not on the side of civilization. But 5 years left, because it was how many years ago then? I got to do my gazintas over here. 7 years ago, that the Democrats and the United Nations, who should be moved to Ouagadougou in Burkina Faso to do their job, and the building in New York should be converted to condominiums, and they should add balconies, because who wants to live in that building without balconies? But they said we had 12 years left before the climate apocalypse would destroy the world and kill us all, and that was 7 years ago. So now they should come out and say we only have 5 years left, just to show that they're good to their word, true to their word, because it was 7 years ago that they said, on this date, that they said we have only 12 years until the climate will kill us all, which reminds me of Katie Porter, who's now running for governor in California, when she told her 9-year-old daughter that, her 9-year-old daughter told her that the earth is on fire and we're all going to die soon, and that made her angry. And I wonder, has her daughter self-immolated yet? Because she doesn't have a bright future, I can guarantee that. So we've got that. That's going on. And the Democrats were out in the streets of New York and elsewhere parading in support of a genocidal death cult of radical Islamic jihadis who literally are holding hostages right now. And there were marches in the streets of New York and elsewhere in the United States in support of Hamas, which is a radical Islamic terror group, might as well be Al-Qaeda or ISIS, and the Democrats are in bed with them, and they're shaving each other. It's kind of weird. It's getting a little weird over there. But pro-Hamas marches in New York and beyond because the Democrats. In the meantime, President Trump and his envoys are working toward securing a peace between the troglodytes from hell gargling in the blood of innocents, Hamas, who the Democrats support. And they don't support the police, and they don't support the United States. They don't support capitalism. They don't support freedom. But the Democrat Party they're really the sort of the Socialist Workers' Party of Germany is the best parallel for the Democrat Party, I think. So the president has his envoys in Egypt. They're in Cairo, Egypt, beautiful Cairo, Egypt, where they have pyramids, and they got the Sphinx and all that stuff. And President Trump's envoys are there meeting with the troglodytes from hell, trying to secure peace, and they're saying, coming out of the White House, they're hoping for an agreement by tomorrow, Thursday, or Friday, the day after tomorrow. And if that doesn't work, then they're hedging a little, saying over the weekend, Sunday at the latest. But the thing is with the troglodytes, 1,000 years go by, and they haven't even had lunch yet. So you set the table for them, and 1,000 years later, they show up with a rifle, and they shoot everybody in the room, because that's how peace talks go with the troglodytes from hell. And the Democrats are in bed with Hamas. They're supporting Hamas. They're marching for Hamas. They're cheering for Hamas. They're cheering and chanting yesterday that Israel must be wiped out from the river to the sea, and they don't know what river and they don't know what sea because they're mentally impaired. Also, Kristi Noem, Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, she was out in Portland yesterday talking about what the Democrats are doing there to get more Americans killed, because the Democrat Party loves killing. They want more killing in Chicago because not enough people are being killed, murdered, that is, in Chicago, to be precise. But we got that going on. And Kristi Noem was out there, and she was given a little bit of what for. we have that. Oh, yeah, speaking of which, I told you that there was supposed to be the Red Mass. Well, they did have the Red Mass at St. Matthew's Catholic Cathedral in Washington, D.C., where John F. Kennedy's funeral was after he was assassinated by a communist. And John saluted, standing on the curb when his father's body went by in a casket. It's a famous church in Washington, D.C. It's been around for a long, long time. And a Democrat psycho showed up the other day for the Red Mass, which is a mass that is held at St. Matthew's for 70-something years now every year, to mark the beginning of the Supreme Court term. The first Monday in October is the next day, and the Supreme Court comes into session and take on all these important issues that the Democrats want to use to destroy America. And the lunatic at St. Matthew's, turns out he had so many explosive devices in addition to his Molotov cocktail and all that. And he had a manifesto, and he wants to kill the Supreme Court, the Catholics, and the Jews. That's how you know he's a Democrat, because the Democrats should be wearing armbands at this point, shouldn't they? Yes, they should. They're really something, these people. I'll call them people for now. So scratching the surface on some of the things we have for you today, and I should not lose sight of this. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means? That means that it's Mailbag Day here on the Chris Plante Show, and I have right here, I have 2 pages, separate pages, one actually mailed in, a question mailed in the U.S. mail, and others by Al Gore's amazing internet, because he is truly a superior member of the patriarchy, and he created the internet for everyone, and it's free as long as other people pay for it, and they Democrats steal money from you to pay for other people's stuff, just like with Obamacare, because they're not liberals, they're the left. But it is Mailbag Day here, and you know what that means in the Clinton household. But we'll get to all that a little bit later in the big program today, and I'm looking forward to the mailbag. I'm going to get to it, barring World War VII breaking out. Going to get to that because we've got a lot of stuff going on. And I brought in today, this is kind of fun, from History.com, 7 times that presidents have activated U.S. troops on American soil, because they're all against Trump, and they're all for murder, and they're all for Tren de Aragua, the Venezuelan gang, and they're for MS-13, not just the NBC network, MS-13 DNC, but also the street gang, where they've got Kilmore Abrego Garcia. Democrats fly to other countries to have lunch with him because they love crime, and the Democrats are on the side of crime. But we've got a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, the guy at the St. Matthew's, 200 explosive devices and a leftist manifesto. And the news media is not reporting it because it's a Democrat Party truth that the Democrat Party and the media, they cover up instead of reporting. And then you got people like Seth Shlomo saying, oh, yeah, that the Democrats are the party of bipartisanship and assassination and firebombing the Jews. And that's their brand of bipartisanship in 2025. Aren't they amazing? So we've got that going, updates there. And then the commie, that's Mamdani the commie, that is the Democrat nominee in New York to become mayor of our most populous city, and arguably our most, Washington and New York are most fancy cities. And Mamdani, just amazing stuff. He's got dual citizenship with Uganda because he loves cannibalism and Idi Amin. Idi Amin. You know what Idi Amin's favorite cut of human flesh was? It was the muscle in your hand between your index finger and your thumb. You know what it is. Jasmine knew what it was even before I said. It's that muscle. It's like the tornado. And they'd cut them out in the prisons were full of people that have had those muscles cut out of their hands so Idi Amin could roast them and eat them. And that's just one of the many reasons that Mamdani the commie loves Uganda. He's a dual citizen. Look at the clock. He's a dual citizen, and he's got Ugandan citizenship, where they just might kill you for being gay. They'll certainly put you in prison for being gay. And Mamdani, he's clinging to his citizenship in Uganda. That's good stuff. And he put out a statement about killing the Jews. A spoiler alert here, but he's in favor of it. He's in favor of it. He's a jihadi and a commie jihadi. He is the red-green coalition rolled into one dangerous package. We've got lots of Democrat hijinks for you today. We're at 888-630-9625. Let us go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to looking forward to the mailbag today. And how about putting the mayor of Chicago and the governor of Illinois in jail because they're insurrectionists and they're a breakaway republic. They're the Confederacy. President Trump brought it up this morning. CNN is, let's just say they're not well. Let's go to Greg calling from Rockville, Maryland. Gregory, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hello, Chris. Thank you so much. I love the show as always.
Thank you.
Hey, I just wanted to say with the, we talked yesterday. I mean, with the so-called the Affordable Care Act subsidies, as I understand it, that stuff started under Joe Biden, I believe, with the IRA, the so-called inflation, the lie. All their bills are named after lies. It's just crazy. But the Inflation Reduction Act was the one that started these subsidies. And I think sunset them in 2025, and now they're screaming about them. And so, I mean, it just shows that like we're never gonna. You always talk about the debt, which I really appreciate. I mean, the debt is $37 trillion. What about just even the deficit? I mean, we can't even get the deficit below $1 trillion a year. I mean, that's why gold and silver and Bitcoin and all these things are flying up. That's why that's why interest rates are high on our bonds. Like, we can't even get the deficit in this country below $2 trillion, annually. And it's like we Republicans have to start cutting this stuff. I mean, I know it's like politically unpopular for some constituencies, but you have to do it if you want to save the nation. I don't see any will from anyone to cut anything, and that's why we're heading towards this. Like you said, $50 trillion in debt. I mean, if debt doesn't matter, then why do we pay taxes? That's the eternal question.
Wow. I like that. Sums it up very well. Yeah. If we can just borrow it all and put it on the kids' tab and then die and leave it to them to go bankrupt and, live in cardboard boxes under bridges, which is the Democrat Party's plan, then, and you're right, and the Republicans need to, they use this idiotic word in Washington, messaging, and the Republicans can't put together a message to save their lives. They really should hire me. I could stand at a podium and make more sense.
They need to hire Chris Plante.
Did you see that gold went past $4,000 an ounce? $4,000 an ounce for gold. So your grandma's ring, the gold is worth more than the diamond now. The internet can be very annoying very frequently, as a matter of fact. This morning I went to look at gold because, I'm always putting $1 billion into gold and then it multiplies by 10, all of that. But the headlines are gold zooms past $4,000 for first time in historic flight to safety. It's a flight to safety. It's like, it's like the end of the movie Casablanca, the last flight to Lisbon, out of Casablanca. And Rick very generously gives up his seat. But that's not important now. Bloomberg, that was the Reuters news agency. And then Bloomberg.com, gold tops $4,000 for first time, fueled by U.S. shutdown. So it's the Democrats there. I bet Pelosi bought into gold just before the government shutdown. And she voted to shut the government down. All the Democrats voted to shut the government down. And then they get credit for being, bipartisan and trying to open the government because every filthy one of them voted against reopening the government 5 times. And so they're the heroes of the story. The Wall Street Journal headline, gold prices top $4,000 for first time. And then, I went to read about this. So I clicked on the Reuters news agency, and there you get the headline, and then it says that they want me to subscribe to Reuters in order to continue reading for $1 a week. And I said, well, I'm not going to do that. I got the internet right here. Everything's free. And then I clicked on Bloomberg, and Bloomberg has gold tops $4,000 first time, fueled by subscribe now for uninterrupted access. And then I can claim this offer. And I got to sign up, and then they steal all your data from your email address, and you put all your information in there, and here's your bank account number, put that in there. And then the Wall Street Journal, gold tops $4,000 for first. Now, I do this all day long. I'd have to spend my entire income on signing up for internet access to 1,000 different things that I look at in a week. But I don't do that, you see, because, it's the internet and it's free. But everything is just a scam and a sham, and it's all the Democrats' fault. Let's face it. Now, the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, they have the story, and they apparently don't want to charge me. I've never been much of a joiner, and I don't join. I don't sign up for stuff. I don't give you my information. I don't join your club. I'll work around you, as millions and millions and millions of people do every day. And here's the BBC. Gold surges past $4,000 an ounce as uncertainty fuels rally. There's a rally. Yesterday there was a rally in New York for Hamas, and it was Democrats and Middle Eastern jihadis wearing Palestinian headdresses and things. But here's the BBC, because they don't want me to join anything or pay them money to read a stinking article when I already know what I need to know. The price of gold has hit a record high of more than $4,000. Then, because it's the BBC, they point out that's 2,985 pounds, as if anybody cares about that. So it hit more than $4,000 an ounce as investors look for safe places to put their money over concerns about economic and political uncertainty around the world. What with the brewing world war and everything, gold has seen its biggest rally since the 1970s, the BBC writes, rising by around a third since April. Now listen to this. When U.S. President Donald Trump announced tariffs, which have upset global trade. Is that what it is? Trump drove the prices up over $4,000, but Pelosi somehow knew ahead of time and bought. I don't know that she bought gold, but I'll bet $1 that she did. And she and her husband, Maxwell Silverhammer over there, they just amazing. The guy that I'm just going to keep saying this. The guy that hit Paul Pelosi in the head with a hammer was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Right? And yesterday I was reading about a guy that murdered 2 children. He was just released after, 8 years? Murdered 2 children. That's no problem. So the price of spot gold, the real-time market value of the precious metal for immediate delivery, rose to more than $4,036 an ounce on Wednesday in Asia. That's another continent altogether. Gold futures, which serve as a gauge of market sentiment, reached the same level on 7 October. That's a British talk for October 7th. Futures are agreements to buy and sell the asset at a predetermined date in the future. Thank you for that. So gold, that's kind of a big deal. And turns out, what's his name on Fox News? The actor guy who's real good. Always plays Kennedys and stuff like that. Hey, buy gold, buy gold. I bet he's looking good now because he's been buying gold for about 5 years, I think. I wish now that I had been buying gold for 5 years. But what am I, Nancy Pelosi? Come on, get out of here. Who are you kidding? And I can't wait to get to this. I'm looking forward to getting to this. But I want to tap pause on this for the moment. The ICE Democrats are attacking immigration customs enforcement in Chicago. The mayor is not out there physically attacking, but he's verbally attacking and demonizing ICE in Chicago. Now there's at least one federal agent who has a $10,000 bounty on his head that has been imposed by an illegal alien gang member that the Democrats invited into the country because the Democrat Party wants war, just like they did in 1860. The Democrat Party is not on the side of peace and all that. But this is great. Trump, the CNN is very angry about this today, too. And Newsweek magazine, I'm reading here. Trump calls for jail time for Pritzker, mayor. They can't say Johnson because people don't know Johnson. Know what I'm talking about? So we got that. Trump says Pritzker, Chicago mayor, should be in jail. And why would the president say that? I've got that coming up today because the Democrat Party is picking fights, violent fights, as opposed to peaceful fights with everybody. And with the violence everywhere, being perpetrated by Democrat mobs in the street, Democrat individuals with rifles on rooftops. Many of them have sexual issues, transgender things, and stuff like that because the Democrats have done that to everybody. So we've got that, and I'm looking forward to getting that. I'm going to get to that at the top of the hour is when I'm going to get to that, just after the top of the hour. And speaking of violent Democrats, I made mention of this, but I talked about this the other day. The Daily Wire has the story. They're giving me free access for now, but then, sending guys over to my house. A man with 200 explosives and leftist manifesto arrested outside Supreme Court event at church, they love their colons, police. So 2 days after the Biden judge gave a light sentence to the attempted Brett Kavanaugh assassin, Supreme Court assassin, the church event, a great event, the Red Mass, marks the beginning of the Supreme Court session on the first Monday in October every year. And St. Matthew's Cathedral, a great Catholic cathedral in Washington, they were holding the Red Mass, but they had to keep all the Supreme Court justices from attending because this Democrat set up a tent on the steps where you walk into St. Matthew's. And now we have an update. I talked to you about this on Monday, day before yesterday. He was arrested on Sunday, the Democrat was. And Washington, D.C. police on Sunday arrested a man with hundreds of explosive devices outside a church holding Mass in honor of the Supreme Court, although no members of the Supreme Court could attend because of the violent criminal efforts of the Democrat Party. The man had a manifesto. They all have manifestos, don't they? Honestly, it's not just an Italian dish anymore. Man had a manifesto that suggested he was targeting the Supreme Court, that would be members of the Supreme Court, and Catholics, according to court papers obtained by the Daily Wire. Louis Geri, Geri, a 41-year-old man from Arizona and New Jersey, he's both from Arizona and New Jersey, was apprehended outside the Cathedral of St. Matthew's the Apostle on October 5th, the same day the church held its annual Red Mass, in which the cardinal prays for the High Court, the Supreme Court, as it embarks on a new term. We're a great culture, a wonderful country. We're the greatest, coolest country in the world. We do everything beautifully. But the left is here, and they're firebombing the Jews and supporting Hamas and attacking the police, and they love gang members from illegal alien gang members in particular from foreign countries that are here to kill and rape and loot and plunder because they're cutting in on the Democrats' action, but the Democrats will allow it. So it's normally historically attended by justices, but never mind that. Geri was occupying a green tent on the steps of the cathedral when police attempted to clear the area in preparation for the Supreme Court event. He told police, "You might want to stay back and call the federales," he said. "I have explosives." Should have just shot him right there. Sniper on a rooftop across the hall, but a police sniper, not a Democrat sniper. A member of the Metropolitan Police Department bomb squad, that's the D.C. police, and they told him that he needed to move because of a special event. He replied, "I'm aware of that," meaning the Red Mass. "I'm aware of that," he told the police, and threatened to throw a bomb into the street as a demonstration, adding, "I have 100+ of them. I have 100+ of them." By the way, his manifesto attacked the Supreme Court, said he wanted to kill the Supreme Court, wanted members of the Supreme Court, not the building or anything like that, wanted to kill Catholics because, they go to Mass and things like that. And, of course, the Jews, because he hates the Jews, too, because he's a Democrat. So police said they would remove him against his will, and he replied, "Several of your people are going to die from one of these," with a lighter in one hand. He had a lighter in one hand. I assume it was a Bic lighter and not a Zippo lighter. Zippo lighters are classics, though, aren't they? He handed them 9 pieces of paper that amounted to a manifesto entitled "Written Negotiations for the Avoidance of Destruction of Property via Detonation of Explosives." That's a colorful title for your manifesto, isn't it? The manifesto revealed his significant animosity toward the Catholic Church, members of the Jewish faith, members of the Supreme Court of the United States, and ICE facilities. Now, that has Democrat Party. That's the Democrat Party's platform in the upcoming midterm elections, and doubtless in the presidential election in 2028. Isn't that amazing? So that is from the police report. The police report indicating that the incident may be the latest in a string of left-wing domestic terrorism. I think that'd be fair to say. Jerry, the terrorist, then shifted his right thumb over the top of the butane lighter to initiate the lighting action and stated, "You better have these people step away or there's going to be a lot of deaths." Again, at what point do you just shoot them? Because this is, but they didn't, did they? Because they understand that Democrats are all mental, and he's probably got gender issues too. We'll find out later on that he goes by a woman's name because you know how the Democrats are. Jerry then left the tent to urinate on a tree there in front of the cathedral on M Street, just off of Connecticut Avenue. I know it well, been there 100 times. And he went off to urinate on a tree and was apprehended by 3 officers. Got a nightstick taser, I hope. At which point he said he had a device in his pocket. Hey, is that a device in your pocket, or are you just whizzing on a tree outside the cathedral? A bomb squad technician located in his pocket a vial with a white cap, which contained yellow liquid inside. The Democrats also pee in bottles and throw their urine at police, too. They've been doing this for years as well. With an M device taped to the exterior. After he was arrested, the bomb squad located a large cache of handmade destructive devices in the tent, police said. He was charged with unlawful entry, manufacture, transfer, use, possession, transportation of Molotov cocktails or other explosives, or unlawful purposes, threatening to kidnap or injure a person, assault on police officer, possession of destructive device, manufacture, possession of weapon of mass destruction, a hate crime, and resisting arrest. So pretty much a typical Democrat in 2025. Isn't that amazing? On Monday, he was arrested on Sunday. On Monday, after reviewing the bombs more carefully, police filed an affidavit from a bomb technician saying there were over 200 devices recovered from D1's tent. D1. I can't say on the radio what that means because it's a little bit vulgar, but he's a D1, that's for sure. There was a strong smell of acetone emitting from some of the vials. Some of the liquid was determined to be nitromethane. The liquid appeared to be multiple chemicals mixed together, none in their original containers. The devices appeared to be fully functional. And there he is. He's a run-of-the-mill Democrat at this point. If you have, like, kids or siblings that are Democrats, they're probably very close to this themselves because this is where the Democrat Party is. Police said that in a jailhouse interview, Mr. Jerry described his devices as grenades and explosives containing nitromethane with a rubber band securing a fuse to be used for detonation. He also stated he planned to use the modified bottle rockets. I love bottle rockets. Those are fun, aren't they? All kids. Oh, look at the clock. The kids love bottle rockets. Everybody loves bottle rockets. They're fun. You know, you got to run out on the street as kids with bottle rockets and Coke bottles and shoot them at each other and run around having fun. The kids enjoy them. A lot of good fun for everyone. So this is the Democrats. None of the justices attended the Mass this year because of security concerns, because of this guy. According to the National Catholic Reporter, a publication, a wonderful publication. And there were a number of justices that had intended to go to the Red Mass this year, but the Democrat Party's terrorism kept them away. As another Democrat judge gave a light sentence to a would-be mass murderer of Supreme Court justices, he was a Democrat too. I guess he still is, really, not past tense. William Devane. It's William Devane. Who doesn't know that? Any school child can tell you William Devane. on the gold commercials. I like William Devane, a fun actor, always has been. Yeah, Brian Doherty sent it. It's William Devane, dimwit, you idiot. Of course, everybody knows it's William Devane. All right, Chicago in the loony bin coming up just after the top of the hour. President Trump saying the governor and the mayor maybe should be looking of Chicago. The governor of Illinois, mayor of Chicago should maybe look at being arrested. And they're already, the news media, they're already apoplectic. They're self-immolating. They're so angry. They have no idea what's been going on for years and years. They have no idea what's going on this week at Morning Joke. Where do you hear this stuff I've got for you? In the meantime, let's go to the telephones and talk to the sane people, the rational people, the American people. Let's talk to John calling from Ashland, Virginia. John, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hey, Chris, how you doing today?
I'm great, John. What do you know? What do you say?
I was in the Navy for 22 years, and when you're in that long, you're part of a lot of things, deployments, missions, stateside activities, and all that. And one thing that kind of just frustrates me is just the general ignorance of the population, but more specifically, when you look at our leaders, Democrat leaders, and the mayors and the governors, just the pure lack of understanding of what the military is, what it's for, what we do. And, I see all these analysts on TV talking about, like, the Posse Comitatus Act, right?
Yeah.
Well, that applies to direct law enforcement activity by the military. Absolutely has nothing to do with the National Guard, the Coast Guard, and it certainly doesn't limit our ability to protect federal assets, which is the core mission of the military. And so just like the general ignorance of that is astounding to see from elected leaders and the news media.
Well, it's appalling, but I think it's what we've all come to expect at this point, isn't it, John?
Unfortunately, I believe so. Even our military leaders seem to have just a lack of understanding.
We're living in a very peculiar time. Wait till you hear what's going on in Chicago coming up.